What's up, everybody? Matty V here, coming to you live and direct. So today I'm going to be filming and recording this podcast to talk about something that's been on my mind the past week. And I want to break down this idea, this concept, because when I first heard it, I wasn't too sure how it applied in my life. I thought it was a negative connotation, and I was trying to find out the positive in this particular word. All right, so, and I think right now, just to kind of set the tone and the framework of why this is important to talk about and why we need to break this down, is because right now in life there's so much going on that I think is breaking people's trust, breaking down people's faith, their belief in the values that they hold and what they thought was actually reality, what's going on in the world as far as civilization and society goes. And with the whole pandemic, with this whole coronavirus, it's really shifted our connection to other people, and we're finding ourselves really isolated and plugged into our devices, plugged into our phones, and connecting through this virtual means without having this physical connection. So it's eyes to screen. And what type of effect does this have on us physically, mentally, spiritually, within our relationships and within our finances and in our money? So I want to help people be able to understand disillusionment and apply it in their life, as well as some strategies that you can implement to help expand beyond what disillusionment can become. And here's the deal. I think this is something that we all experience and that we all go through throughout different stages in our life. And whenever we release an old version of ourselves and come back to create a new version of ourselves, there's this veil in between the two that's, it's very important that we address this particular transformation section, all right? Because there's a piece that we have to purge and remove and gain an understanding and an awareness about, and then be able to heal and recreate out of the new. All right, so that's the process of overcoming disillusionment. But let's break down disillusionment first. All right, so the dictionary says disillusioned is disappointed in someone or something that one discovers to be less good than one had believed. All right, I'll read it again. It's disappointed in someone or something that one discovers to be less good than one had believed. All right, so when you think that, this particular scenario is really, really good, or it's better than what you thought, but yet it turns out to not be that particular situation, in that process we become disillusioned. We lose our illusion. All right, so this can have a drastic effect, because if we have our expectations set at a particular level and then we come in and it doesn't meet those expectations, and we become disappointed. All right, if we think that we're doing a better job than what we actually are, and then we come to find out that we're not, all right, and then we can expect loss, we can expect decrease in our expectation, and it can shift and change and trigger a lot of self-destructive habits that reemerge. All right, so if we're looking at overcoming our past experiences and overcoming those past traumas and triggers that continuously show up and create, poor habits, we're not getting the results that we want to get because we're repeating these same habits over and over again. Well, in order to break this down, we must break the illusion of it. We must become aware how we are disillusioned, and then we must get close enough to these triggers, to these past stories and experiences, to purge them, heal them, rewrite them, and create new from that space. All right, that is the particular process. All right, so for instance, if you're a business owner and you're making, significant money every single month, however, you're not looking at your expenses, and your expenses are almost equal to the amount of income that you have coming in, but you're still out there balling and, spending money left and right, then you can become disillusioned to how much you're actually making and the effort that you're actually putting in to be able to generate this type of money. All right, there's so many different ways that we get caught up thinking that we're doing more. All right, another great example is activity versus productivity. All right, we can become disillusioned in the activity of doing things because we're busy, we're working. But activity doesn't necessarily mean productivity. All right, so that disillusionment comes in between. Is the activity that you're doing producing the results that your desired outcome is requesting? Or are you caught up in the disillusionment of it all, and you're doing the activity, but you're not getting the results that you desire? All right, so this is key. Being able to identify this and be aware to it, you kind of got to take a step back away from yourself and really examine and get quiet and go internal and seek out the areas in your life where you're not hitting the goals, you're not getting the results that your desired outcome is. All right, so let's address that. All right, so here's how it applies in life. And this is what I'm kind of seeing play out right now, is we're all plugged into our phones, right? Like most of us wake up, we have the alarm on our phones, going off, and then boom, we roll over, we grab our phone. And most people just plug directly in. They just go straight into checking their emails, checking their social media feeds, plugging into Facebook, Instagram, and we're exposed to all of this content, this narrative, this agenda-based media that is planting seeds in our mind, and that's how we're starting off our day. So it can create this web of a narrative in our life of this is what our life is, this is what our life experience is. And if you're not tuned in and present enough to understanding that these narratives that the news puts out, whether it's a news network like Fox or CNN, these particular narratives tend to trap us in this illusion of what we think is actually happening in the world. And that's not necessarily the case, especially when we're plugged into our phones. And we're seeing the highlight reel of influencers and marketers, and we're being targeted with advertisements that are specifically generated for our individual selves. Like, that's how smart and intelligent these ads are becoming now. We have given so much information over into the digital world that now that data can be used very specifically to target us, to create buying decisions, to create persuasion, to create seduction, to create manipulation. And that is the area that disillusionment loves to play in. All right, so how can we catch ourselves in the moment when we're being disillusioned? All right, so when you get caught up and you think that it's better than what it is, but you're not getting the actual results, then that's a telltale sign that you're caught up in being disillusioned. All right, so the key is we want to be able to break out of this, because as a collective, as a society, this disillusionment is growing. It's growing as we become more and more isolated. We weren't meant to be an island. All right, we are one of the bigger whole. All right, it's not just one particular life with a bunch of other lives going on around us, that we are all connected. So there's one big massive collective that we're connected to. All right, but when we isolate ourselves and we're disconnected from people, we're not talking, we're not shaking hands, we're not hugging, we're not having events, we're not having gatherings, we're not getting together, that is breaking down that connective tissue, that connective ether that flows in between us. And that stuff is so valuable. It is so valuable for our healing, for our health, for our regeneration, for our understanding and connection of where we're going, and our security and faith and trust and belief that we can create and get the outcomes that we most deeply desire. All right, so we have to break out of the matrix of all of this. All right, otherwise that disillusionment will carry us down into sabotage and many other different head trash, limiting beliefs. All right, so let's avoid all those limiting beliefs by staying aware of disillusionment. All right, so some ways to overcome disillusionment. All right, and I think this is very important, because if we're not present, we're not aware, we're not going to know when we're being triggered. All right, but when you do catch yourself triggered and you find yourself in this no man's land, this confusing place of I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go next, I don't know where to even start to dig myself out of this situation. Like, how many of you guys have been in a particular situation where, you have a great job, you're working, you're making, really good money, and then a pandemic hits and you lose your job, you get laid off, you get let go, and now you're on unemployment. All right, and unemployment is uncertain. You don't know when you're going to get your next paycheck. You don't know if you're going to continue to qualify. When will you be able to get a new job? Is this industry completely shifted and changed? Will the industry even be there when you are ready to get a job again? So, with all of the things that are happening right now, these are questions that are going on in a lot of people's mind. So let's talk about how to overcome that disillusionment so you can get back into power and energy and confidence to see things clearly and move forward and advance towards your specific outcome. All right, so number one is getting in tune with your community. First, we have to wake ourselves up. We have to break ourselves out of this pattern that we're caught up in. All right, so sometimes that takes a third party to be able to help us see what we can't see. All right, sometimes that takes meditation and doing a deep dive to look at what we don't know that we don't know, that gray area that's beyond what we're tapped into and working on a daily basis. And that's also looking into community as a whole. Where have you isolated yourself? Where are you finding yourself not getting those particular results, right? So we can look towards our community to help us identify when we're caught up in disillusionment. All right. It's going to take courage and creativity and encouragement and forgiveness in order to reset and heal that part of us that we feel has lost faith and trust. We need to recreate that story. All right, but before we recreate it, we have to purge it. And through purging these experiences, it's really about going and doing the internal work. And I advise people to go through this experience with a professional, somebody who's done this before, because tapping into your subconscious and reliving past traumas and past experiences can really trigger and create more challenges than it can benefits if you're not prepared or working with people who have gone through this process. So I encourage you guys to work with somebody who has purged limiting beliefs and disillusionment to overcome that for themselves. All right, so when we purge, it's about being in a safe enough space and having the support and love to go deep within those areas that break our trust, that break our faith, that trigger us to continue to live and relive and re-experience the patterns that hold us back from accomplishing what we want to accomplish. All right, so in order to do that, we must be in a safe place, and then we must be able to go to the inner depths of reliving that experience. And as we relive that experience, as a third party watching that experience play out inside of our mind, we can begin to detach and understand and create love and healing space to rewrite that story. All right, we have that ability. The mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So if you're going subconsciously into your mindset and you're reframing and reprogramming and loving yourself through the trauma and healing that trauma, then you can completely rewrite that story and how it shows up. So when that pattern comes back up in your life and you're feeling that trigger come back up, boom, it's not going to have the same impact. It's not going to have the same result as what it typically does have. All right, so to be able to get close enough and to heal that wound, that scar, without busting it, without reopening that scar, now you can step beyond that healing phase into a recreation phase. And within the recreation phase, it's about gaining clarity, all right, gaining light on the dark situation of what you don't know. All right, if your trust or faith has been broken in one particular area, well, it's vital that we heal that area So we're not continuously reopening that wound. We're not re-experiencing that pain, that frustration that's going to hold us back. All right. So let's heal by re-experiencing what we want to experience. Like I said, the mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So when you create a mind movie, and when you create an experience that you can feel on an emotional level from mind into body, now you're able to rewrite this experience. All right, so for instance, like one time I did this deep dive on my relationship with my dad. All right, and my dad's father passed away whenever he was 5 years old, so he never had a dad. All right, and my hang up was that I wanted my dad to be proud of me, and I wanted my relationship with my dad to be healed, and I wanted it to be strong. I wanted him to be proud of me, and I wanted to feel that sense of pride as a son from my father, and have full belief and trust in it. Now it's my old triggers from childhood that would get me caught up, saying that, oh, my dad was always working, and he wasn't there for certain periods of my childhood, whether it was a baseball game or a football game or whatever. So it was all these old stories and programming that had caught up in my mind. So when we went into the depths of my mind, into the attic, into the dark attic space of which that's kind of how it shows up in my mindset. When we went up there and we started kind of cleaning out the corners and the edges, and I'm identifying and I'm seeing all these areas of triggers and all these old narratives and old stories that continue to show up and hold me back from accomplishing what I want to accomplish, I had this realization that my dad never had a father to show him and guide him, and so I was able to heal this space within inside myself and gain a new understanding and a new awareness about it, to the point where when I came out of it, I had enough power and energy to give my father what he never had from his father. To be able to call my dad up and say, you are an amazing son. You are a great son. He never had a father to be able to do that for him. So I'm hoping that broke. Actually, I know it broke his disillusionment as, being a son without a father, and that gaping void, that hole that, he probably carried around his entire life because he didn't have the tools, knowledge, experience, wisdom, support, community to be able to heal and purge those childhood traumas. And I'm sure that held him back in so many different areas in his life, and created challenges and struggles within his relationships, within his marriage to my mom, within our relationship as father and son. So to be able to heal that process and step out of it, and then come out with this ability to bless my dad from being his son, from a father to a son again, it was powerful. It was a powerful shift that completely transformed and changed, not just the triggers that happen in my life, but really how I understand and how I live my life on a daily basis. And there's other times that I've been caught up in disillusionment, when business is going really good and I think that it's going to last forever and it's going to stay like this forever, and then boom, something happens, and you have a financial struggle, or you have a productivity struggle, or a system struggle, or your sales aren't hitting where they need to hit, or your ads aren't doing what they need to do, or your marketing isn't resonating the way that it needs to resonate. Well, all of that is creating disillusionment. I think that I'm doing good, but I'm not doing nearly as good as what I think I am. You know what I'm saying? So we need to catch ourselves there and get real and take responsibility for that time and space so that we can flip it and change it. All right? In order to get into the present and into the now, we have to be focused to the here and now. There's no other way of getting around it. So by doing that, this is going to help us create more consistency in our life. It's going to help us generate the power that we need to overcome those moments as quick as possible and get back into momentum, get back into productivity, so that we're stacking our results versus second guessing and make believing. Because we can make believe all day long that things are better than what they are. It comes in our mindset. the thoughts that we're thinking. Is it ego talking to us, telling us that we're better than what we think that we are? Is it showing up in our physical body? Especially within our health. If we're eating garbage, but yet we're telling ourselves that, we're living a healthy lifestyle, well, we're disillusioned to what we're putting into our body and our overall health and wellness. You look at this COVID pandemic, and people who think they have good health are finding themselves, oh well, I didn't really think about my lungs. Oh, I didn't think my obesity would make me vulnerable to this new virus. I didn't think my immune compromised system would make me this vulnerable to a virus. So this question is now playing over and over in everybody's heads. Should I wear a mask? Should I boost my immune system? Like, what can I do to become a better version of myself in my physical body? Well, we have to answer that question. Where are you disillusioned? All right, so it could be showing up in your spirit, whatever your spiritual connection and understanding is. Is it ego playing in and making you feel like you can do it better than what the collective, what the creator, what the Most High can bless us with? Could be showing up in our relationships. If you're married or if you're with a significant other, are you thinking that you're doing a better job than what you actually are doing? If you're having arguments and fights and disconnection within your relationship, then you're probably disillusioned somewhere. All right, and that's definitely going to start showing up in that realm. This also shows up if you're single and you're dating or you're creating attraction in life, or if you want to attract a significant other, or you just want to attract a partner. Well, what energy and how are you being, and how is that showing up within your relationships? How are you serving? What value are you bringing? Or are you just kind of broing it through this dating world, and not getting the depth and connection of relationship? I think that's a huge thing that I've seen over the past several years as the whole dating world has shifted and changed, with Tinder and all these online platforms for meeting people. It's crazy. I don't even know all these dating apps, dude. I've been out of the game for a minute, but I can still see that disillusionment of so many fake people, dude. It's this mask that everybody's wearing, and they've hacked the game, and they've manipulated the game, both sides of the parties, to make it very plastic, very silicone. Everybody's caught up in, the physical being. Are you hot? Are you not hot? Like, where's the sexual chemistry? And yeah, all of that is a piece of it, but you're disillusioned because all of that mask is hiding a lot of insecurity, it's hiding a lot of head trash, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, baggage internally for people that they're not exposing. All right, so if you want to get real and break this thing open, just start exposing your insecurities and your vulnerabilities and own it. The power is in the vulnerability. The essence of our spirit is in the vulnerability. So if we can show up powerfully and step into that vulnerability and hold strong and confident and expand our power, then we become a beacon of light for other people to be able to do that too. All right, and that's how collectively we break out of this disillusionment, especially when it comes to relationships. We're all stuck in our phones, dude. It's like we've all got like blinders on, and we can't see that we're all separated and isolated. But when we remove those blinders, when somebody can show that flame in front of us and be that beacon of light to help us wake up and see things clearly as they truly are, then we can break out of the illusion, and we can actually examine, all right, is this real? Is this fake? Is this good? Is this bad? And what do I need to learn from this? How do I overcome this? How do I rise up out of the struggle and make my situation better? All right, otherwise I'm going to be stuck here getting the same results or worse over a specific time period. All right. And then this can also show up in our finances, in our money. All right, if we're, like I was saying, if we're caught up in activity mode versus productivity mode, we can spend life savings, we can spend a mass amount of time, we can spend a mass amount of effort going in the wrong direction. All right, making a lot of financial mistakes. So it's key to keep your eye on the ball and understand what's real, what's not real, what's having an impact, and then being able to measure that impact, whether it's good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, and then knowing when you need to make that shift, change, and transform. Admit when it's at its end. That's it. Admit when it's at its end. All right, so just to kind of go back and summarize, I want to encourage everybody just to take the time to become more aware in the present moment. Disillusionment is not a negative thing. It's not this bad word. It sounds bad, and if somebody says that you're disillusioned, it might, trigger you to feel like you're doing something bad or wrong, but it's actually constructive criticism. All right, it's actually a guide, a measuring tool on where you are, and something to shake you up enough to get real. Sometimes we need that shake to help us see things clearly, right? So let disillusionment be that for you. All right, so tune in and check in all those key areas of life: your mindset, your physical body, your spirit, your relationships, and your business, and see where you're caught up in an illusion. Are you caught up in a space of things being better than what they seem, or worse than what they seem? And if so, let's check in and just get real with how things really are. All right, and then identify those blockages, those patterns, those habits that are coming up that are holding you back from reaching the goals that you want to reach, and identify them, write them down, feel them, relive them, experience them, so you can catch yourself whenever you're in that moment again, and you can make the turn, you can make the shift, you can take back control, so it doesn't zap your energy level, it doesn't make you feel depressed, it doesn't make you feel negative, it doesn't make you feel less than. All right, it opens up those insecurities and those vulnerabilities, and it creates power out of them. All right, so do this in all areas of your life: your mindset, your physical body, your spirit, your relationships, and your business. And watch how, when you have a clear playing field, you can see things and opportunities, and you can believe in those opportunities, and rebuild that faith and rebuild that trust, so you live a more fulfilled lifestyle. All right, it's more realistic. It's not caught up on the highlight reel of Instagram. It's not only seeing the positive posts and comparing yourself to all of these different people out there on social media. All right, it's truly understanding you as an individual and building that relationship with you and yourself. All right, that's the relationship that means the most. All right, outside of connected to the bigger picture here, the creator, the collective, the oneness that is all. All right, guys, so that's my talk today on disillusionment. I hope that provides you some value and some insight in how you can overcome your own disillusioned situations. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's something that I feel like we all deal with. We might just not all be aware to it. All right, so stay tuned, guys, for more videos and podcasts and content coming out soon. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if this podcast opened up some awareness for you, I would love to hear from you. Definitely send me a message, share any more information. If I can provide any more details or specifics on this particular topic, I'd be happy to. But for now, thanks again, everybody. Appreciate all your love and support. Wish you nothing but encouragement and power out there. So keep doing your best, keep striving, keep working towards your goals. You're getting closer and closer every day to hitting them. All right, guys, Matty V signing out for now. Catch you later. Peace. See ya.